Hello, this is Max Quester, and today we are going to be watching how PETA managed to turn an entire country against it overnight by Mujin. Now, this did come out very recently, and normally I would, wait a few days before doing something on a reaction level on this. However, this is about PETA. I hate PETA with a flaming passion. They are one of the biggest animal abusers that I can even imagine of. They might say differently, but the amount of euthanizations that they put through animals, it's horrible. They make the Humane Society look like a petting zoo. So yeah, Mujin, I deeply apologize here if I steal any views at all. So I do say, if you have not yet watched this, please go to the original and watch it first, then come back for me if you will. I will leave a link into the description. But yeah, the moment I saw it, I had to see this right now. So let's go ahead and get this pulling up right now.
Typically, when you see someone
Oh,
abuse a
hi,
pet or
Hassan.
animal on the internet, then chances are
Gee, I wonder why Hassan is here.
you'll probably see someone in the comments somewhere saying, "Call PETA." In fact, one could even argue that this has been a thing on the internet for as long as we can remember. But what is PETA anyway? Well, it stands for People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
That's the biggest misnomer I've ever heard.
What a wonderful name for an organization. Okay, well, what do they fight for? Animal rights? That's awesome. Well, not quite. Here's how they describe their own mission on their website. Animals are not ours to experiment on, eat, wear, use for entertainment, or abuse in any other way. Okay, kind of
Sounds nice in theory. Then let's just say they take this to a whole nother kind of extreme.
extremist, right? The idea that no one's allowed to eat animals, that's definitely interesting, but most people can definitely agree with the other parts. But how is it that an organization like this managed to make so many generations of people be aware of its existence? How does it have such a monopoly over the topic of animal rights? Well, it's actually all thanks to their marketing strategy.
Which I will admit, they definitely do generate marketing very much. Oh my! I still remember when they did the Mario Tanuki Chase little game and the Pokemon was Black and Blue parodies. They got a top-notch marketing strategy. If they didn't do the things behind the scenes that they do, I almost would be for them with how much they do for. But oh dear God, is it not what you think things are?
See, ever since PETA was created in the 1980s, they knew that people had bigger worries than wondering where animals came from and how they were processed in factories. So to truly get their message across, their strategy has always been to grab headlines by any means necessary.
And they're good at
For
it.
decades, PETA would be synonymous with ridiculous marketing campaigns.
Oh yeah.
This right here is one of the most famous examples. A group of naked women laying in coffins in public,
Funny enough, this is one I haven't seen.
saying they'd rather be caught dead than wear animal fur. Things like this became an important part of PETA's DNA, and it would help them spread awareness about their cause and their organization to multiple generations. But that's, of course, until Gen Z came along. A generation that kind of grew up understanding what they were, but by the time they became adults, became so desensitized by the internet that nothing really shocked them anymore. PETA had used the same
that is
strategy
true.
for decades now, shock and boldness. The problem with the strategy, though, is that over time, for it to remain effective, every campaign you make has to be more shocking than the previous one. And more importantly, the line between bull chalk and rage bait is extremely thin.
I don't think I have heard that particular term before. Bullchuck? I'm gonna have to look that one up later. Oh, I saw this on Twitter.
And for years now, PETA has been absolutely clueless about the fact that they had crossed it a while ago. They had essentially gone from very bold marketing campaigns that no one had ever done before to now posting an AI-generated image of a fish being cut
this
into
was
sushi,
lame.
calling it artistic rendering, and being community noted. That's just plain
Yeah.
embarrassing. For years now, this has been PETA's reality. They're nothing more than just rage baiters, and they failed to see that. They've completely lost the plot. And speaking of losing the plot, it turns out
Here
that
it
PETA
is.
actually enjoys killing animals more than rescuing them.
Here we go, folks.
After numerous investigations spanning
Oh, dang, we are getting into it already. We're only 3 minutes in. Ooh, Mujin.
across multiple years, many have been able to conclude that PETA enjoys killing animals way more than just putting them up for adoption and finding them a new loving home.
This is why I despise them.
Why? Because they believe owning a pet dog is slavery. I wish I was kidding. Don't believe me? Well, the founder of PETA herself said that pet ownership is an abysmal situation and argued in a 2014 interview that outdoor cats should just be killed. It's better.
Join us.
Ads!
Bonuses up to $50,000 and generous
Ads!
rewards.
I am going to be gone with you!
The chaos
Oh,
and
come on!
operation are the future of the operation.
Get
Research has shown that
off
respiratory
my
disease
screen!
Better
Thank
for them.
you.
By now, and we're still in the intro of this video, you're probably wondering, okay, how the hell does this organization even still exist? And how
That's what I always ask every time I hear about them.
can it possibly get any worse? Well, recently, PETA decided that killing animals is not enough. They decided to openly tarnish the legacy of a dead animal, and the backlash that they experienced was biblical. You see, Silent Suzuka was a Japanese racehorse with an unrivaled legacy. I mean, he was extremely fast and well known globally to anyone who followed horse racing.
I am a little sad that it took this to get a huge amount of attention that they're getting negatively, and not everything that is kind of an open secret about them. But I'm just glad they're finally getting some comeuppance.
However, in 1998, his life ended after a tragic injury on the track. What really made Silent Suzuka stand out during that incident, though, is that even though he was in horrendous pain, he didn't flip out, he didn't try to injure his jockey, no. He silently went to the side of the track, dropped off his jockey, and when he was sure that his human rider was safe, proceeded to collapse. Yeah, he was one hell of a horse. Now in 2021, the mobile game Musume Pretty Derby would come out in Japan. It would be an anime horse girl racing game, with every one of these anime girls representing a famous Japanese race
Cute game. Give it a try.
horse. This game would prove to be extremely successful in Japan, would release globally in 2025, and would make billions of dollars. And one of the horses that was immortalized as an anime horse girl was none other than Silent Suzuka. In fact, Uma Musume would even have an anime, and Silent Suzuka would make an appearance there too. So as you can see, this was a very well beloved and very well respected horse to this day. So what the hell could have PETA possibly done to create a worldwide backlash?
Oh, if you haven't seen it yet, you will be ready.
Did they pay their respects to this wonderful animal that showed incredible compassion to
No.
humans in its final moments? Of course not. They instead would post a disgusting image of the anime horse girl version of Silent Suzuka with a grotesque leg injury where you can see the bone protrude outside of the skin, arguing that if the game was honest, your favorite horse girl wouldn't get any comeback arcs. One failed event and the race is over, just like what happened to the real Silent Suzuka. Now look, PETA had been fucking around for years.
Oh, the Cooking Mama one. I remember that too. I will give it to them. They knew how to make a nasty parody. I'll give them that. They definitely knew, but this one just really strikes a chord.
And had faced barely any consequences. This time, though, they fucked around and they found out. Because not only did this post get viewed 16.4 million times, not only are there 11,000 replies completely shitting on their entire existence, not only did this post get community noted, but it even prompted a Japanese politician to speak out on this disgusting behavior.
And you know, if you get the Japanese to talk out about something, you done messed up.
As well as the owner of Silent Suzuka.
No
Guys, this was
way.
probably one of
Okay, I didn't know even he spoke. Oh, God, that's gonna be horrible to find out.
the worst things PETA could have ever done to their reputation. More and more people are looking into the fact that they're killing more animals than they're saving, with Japanese people
there's
in
that.
particular finding out the true nature of this company rather than thinking that they actually fight for animal rights. And unlike their usual rage bait, this time there were many people that destroyed the hell out of PETA with facts and logic. Actual real
I saw
arguments that
those.
show that Uma Musume Pretty Derby did a million times more than PETA could ever hope to achieve. It was hilarious seeing this disgusting organization get pummeled to oblivion, and so that's why I thought
Finally.
I had to make a video about this. So
And I salute you, sir, for doing so. Thank you very much.
you already know the drill. Let's do this.
that was just the intro. Jeez, man, you are cooking.
Alright, so look, as I mentioned in the intro, PETA gained prominence, or I should say relevancy, due to its shocking and bold marketing campaigns like this one right here. If dogs tasted like pork, would you eat them? What's the difference? Go
I mean, I definitely know some people probably would if they did taste like pork.
vegan, showing the image of a dog with a pig's head. By PETA's own standards, though, this was definitely soft.
Yeah,
You see,
that
one of
is
the
pretty
first
soft for them.
instances of extremely shocking yet somewhat bold marketing campaigns was as far back as 1991. Back then, one of America's most infamous serial killers, Jeffrey Dahmer, was captured. Jeffrey was someone who had captured 17 males and, well, got rid of their limbs. He would then place them in the fridge and eat them later, because guess what? The guy was a cannibal. What would PETA do? Well, they'd publish a newspaper advertisement pretty much likening meat packers to being exactly like Jeffrey Dahmer, someone who killed 17 human beings.
Yeah,
Now today,
yeah,
if this
that's light.
happened,
Very
no one
light.
would really care, but back then, people cared a lot. This caused unprecedented commotion, and it was exactly what PETA wanted. From their point of view, their mission is to get animal rights messages out to as many people as possible, which is why they try to make their actions colorful and controversial. Colorful is a very interesting word.
Yeah, I'd
all in
say.
the hopes of grabbing as many headlines around the world and spreading the message of kindness to animals to thousands, sometimes millions of people. They would then gloat that this approach has proved to be amazingly successful, and you know what? To their credit, initially it was. For the first 2 decades after PETA was established, they would spread awareness over some extremely inhumane conditions that many animals faced in different areas, whether it
And those were the good times. Like, that is we do need organizations that do point these things out because animals do get heavily mistreated. And that's why this is just such a horrible, horrible story about PETA.
be factories, farms, or hell, even government agencies. The outrage following these investigations would help new laws be put in place. Laws that would either help animals get treated better or straight up shut down certain labs or agencies that would mistreat them. However, not all good things last forever, and at some point, PETA would lose the plot entirely. In fact, after my research, I can personally conclude that they had officially lost the plot by 2003, when
Yeah.
they released their newest marketing campaign, an exhibition titled Holocaust on a Plate. And yes, it is as horrible as it sounds. In fact, here's a sign that you would find at this exhibition. On the left, you would see a Holocaust victim that went through famine, and on the right, you would see a cow that went through famine. I don't think it would take a genius.
Oh my god, not more ads! Come on! Oh, dang it.
Roblox is way more
Yep.
fun when you
Not
have
definitely not a
Roblox.
Roblox ad. Come on, man. Get on.
Is to understand that Jews back then were extremely angered by such a marketing campaign.
Which I can
likening
imagine.
the suffering of so many people in World War II to the idea of eating meat. I mean, come on. And at a certain point, this would just get old. People wouldn't take them as seriously anymore. Around almost a decade later in 2014, PETA would release a marketing campaign in which they say that dog breeders are literally the Austrian painter, releasing a poster of a dog with the infamous, well, mustache. And if you thought that wasn't bad enough, on the same year, if you went to PETA's website, you'd be greeted with, "Got autism? Studies have shown a link between cow's milk and autism."
Is there anything that supposedly doesn't cause autism these days?
Now, this confused the hell out of people, and it could mean one of 2 things. The first possibility is them saying that cow's milk causes autism, which is extremely incorrect. There's nothing in any way, shape, or form proving that. And the second possibility is them saying that only autistic people drink cow's milk, which I don't need to sit here and tell you sounds really bad. Pretty much saying that there's something very wrong with autistic people, which isn't the case. They're just people. You see what I meant in the intro? Once you make shocking statements, the only way to keep people's attention is to somehow make a shocking statement more shocking every single time. But with the line between shocking and ragebait being so thin, yeah, it's no surprise by this point people thought PETA was a joke. Their stupid antics were starting to alienate vegans from wanting to support them. That was their target audience.
Right?
I mean, mid-pandemic in 2020, when people were wrestling with the fact that they had to be isolated for God knows how long, PETA comes out and says, oh, hey, yeah, this happened because of you meat eaters. Tofu never caused the pandemic. Dude, shut the fuck up. Now, yes, this stupid attempt at rage bait is definitely funny. And while I'd love to just sit here and laugh, unfortunately, when it comes to PETA, their existence is actually a problem, especially if you like animals. You see, this organization is nothing more than just a group of extremists. In 2017,
That is what I'm talking about right there. That is what I was talking about. Oh, dear Lord. Taking a kid's pet and putting it down. Didn't even hold it there, just put it down. These people are monsters.
two PETA employees would kidnap a 9-year-old's chihuahua. They assumed that it was a stray that needed to be euthanized because, of course, they hate the idea of putting up a dog for adoption. However, state laws say that they have to hold the pet for 5 days to make sure there's no owner that, well, will come and claim it.
Guess what they didn't do?
That rule and euthanize this poor chihuahua within the same day. The family ended up suing the organization, and PETA paid them $49,000 to settle. But that poor girl is probably
been way
traumatized
more.
for life. But I wish that was the worst thing they'd done. In 2005, 2 years after their completely tone-deaf Holocaust marketing campaign, some people would start noticing that the dumpsters behind a supermarket in North Carolina was filled with dead animals, specifically cats and dogs. Well, it turned out it was none other than PETA. The two employees in question would be acquiring these pets by lying to veterinarians.
This part's hard to watch, but yeah. Keep it together, Max. Keep it together. Don't rage out about everything.
Telling them they're going to put them up for adoption and then just euthanizing them in the same day in the back of their van. The veterinarian who had given these pets to PETA thinking they would get adopted would later say they were in good health and were very adoptable, especially the kittens. It was tragic, and yet PETA was able to get away with this because of a stupid law in the US that says that PETA and other shelters are allowed to kill owner-relinquished animals for virtually any reason at any time without any effort to find them homes. But of course, politicians don't care about actual important matters like this. And finally, if you want something a bit more recent to truly show you how disgusting PETA is, then look no further. This was a study published in February 4th, 2025, examining the rate of death of animals in PETA shelters in the year of 2024. Now, PETA is established in the state of Virginia. The average rate of euthanasia for all agencies in Virginia is 10%. That means that 90% of their animals find a new home. They successfully get adopted, with 10% being euthanized, which is reasonable. Some cats or dogs they might find out.
Anybody who knows me knows I am extremely, very difficult to get upset. Like, I can play League of Legends and not get tilted at all, pretty much. This triggers me to no end, and I hate using that term. Oh, damn you, PETA.
The street might have a very bad disease, they could be on their last legs, and giving them euthanasia is the most humane thing to do, that way they don't squirm in pain for the rest of their lives. PETA, on the other hand, euthanizes 64% of their dogs, 69% of their cats, and 67% of all animals in general that are held in their shelters. Think about this for a second. Only 30% somehow find a new home. The majority find themselves dead. Does that seem like an organization that likes animals to you? I mean, look at this. In 2014, they euthanized 96% of their cats. Very interesting, right? Especially seeing that the founder of PETA has already expressed the fact that stray cats shouldn't exist. In other words, they should all be killed. I mean, I just find this so disgusting, but also so fascinating. PETA always likes to ignore the fact that humans and animals are fundamentally different, which is why we shouldn't eat them. Does that mean we should euthanize 69% of children that are currently in shelters waiting to be adopted by a family? I wonder what this failure of an organization would say. Oh wait, I actually know exactly what they would say. One look at their social media in 2025, and the only thing you'll find is rage bait. That's what they still thrive on. They want views, they want relevancy at any cost, no matter how stupid they might look in the public's eyes. And it's that same exact philosophy that made them fuck around and find out when it came to one of the most loyal communities on the internet. And it resulted in them wiping the floor with PETA's pathetic ass. This all brings us back to the game Musume Pretty Derby. Available both on PC and mobile, it pretty much took over the world this year. In fact, if you were able to catch the Game Awards recently, then you would have seen that it actually won Best Mobile Game. the same company behind that
very
very
impressive,
successful
honestly.
game that's generated billions of dollars to date, is also behind its extremely successful anime series. All the horse girls in the anime and the game are actually based off their real-life counterparts. This was only possible
I'll be honest, just from watching this, I learned a whole lot about racehorsings and the industry from that. It really is a good watch, a very fun game to play. I definitely give it a recommend to at least follow the history of it at the very least.
to do after getting direct approval from each one of their owners. But that's not all, of course. They weren't just able to make an awesome game, some great anime, and respect the medium. Horse racing has been a dying sport for years now, and they were able to revitalize the entire industry by bringing in such a huge amount of young people that are now interested in it thanks to the game and anime. In fact, the developer, Cygames, wouldn't just support horse racing directly by sponsoring multiple events, they would also make it a point to support retired racehorses, making sure that they're not neglected and encouraging fans to donate to them. In fact, ever since Musume Pretty Derby had come out in Japan and then eventually came out globally, the Retired Horse Association of Japan, who takes care of all retired racehorses, has seen a massive surge in donations.
Wonderful.
And look at this, they had created a fundraiser back in October to create a memorial for multiple retired horses that had passed away recently, and they were able to raise 6.3 million yen out of their 10 million yen goal. Before Musume, people didn't really care that much about retired horses. Now they do. Isn't that awesome? Now, with all this info in mind, and this is me barely scraping the surface, by the way, how much worse
There's
does
a lot
this
to it.
post from PETA actually sound now? Going after a developer and a game that has done more for horses than they could ever even conceive. I mean, what a desperate cry for attention. The
Very
replies
much
would,
so.
of course, immediately point this out, like this one that ratioed the original post by like 5 times, saying Musume does more to the welfare of the horses it honors than misleading and self-serving posts like this do better or be quiet. I mean, not a single one of these 11,000 replies were positive. They were just shitting on PETA's entire existence. The audacity for an organization that euthanizes 70% of its animals to talk about euthanasia is wild.
Not another one. Good lord, these ads. There's just way too many.
Just so you know, this was a severe leg injury that Silent Suzuka experienced on the racetrack. Once that happens to a horse, they are guaranteed to die a slow and painful death. Euthanasia here was actually, unlike PETA's shelters, humane. But they
Yeah, I mean, the legs of a horse, although very powerful, if they break, it's pretty much done for them. They can never properly heal. It's horrible. It really is the merciful option, as horrible as it is.
lost the plot since 2003. Reasoning with them is pointless. But people decided to quote tweet them anyway because why not? They're clowns, they deserve it. This person would say the irony is that Musume itself is responsible for the increase of the Retired Horse Racing Association's donations and care for the animals. Just this year, between Versailles Farm, Northern Farm, and Nice Nature, which are 3 different horses, they raised over $1 million combined, spread purely by the fans' love of the horses. Here we can see a chart of Nice Nature's birthday donation trends, and as you can see, there is a massive uptick in donations after Musume Pretty Derby had come out. I mean, it would go from 1,700,000 yen to 35 million after the game had come out.
Like, just imagine what other kind of industries would love to see that kind of an uptick in just mere donations, let alone sales of things, or even viewerships. This is just donations. That's just crazy. That's
a
in millions!
multiplication of almost 35 times, and it kept rising higher and higher, reaching 74 million in 2024. But yeah, let's make a disgusting drawing instead, criticizing the game instead of helping. I mean, PETA has no idea just how much Japanese people in general, including the voice actress of Silent Suzuka herself, hold respect for these horses. In an interview, she was literally crying over Silent Suzuka's memory, wondering if she could properly convey the spirit of this legendary horse. Do PETA employees cry when they euthanize 70% of their animals for no reason?
Highly
That's a
doubt it.
rhetorical question. And then, of course, comes the very embarrassing community note that came in different languages. This is the Japanese one. It would say, "This is hate speech. Might be a bit of a rough translation.
Oh!
Anyway, although the game Musume Parody Derby is in no way opposed to PETA's philosophy of establishing and defending animal rights, this post provokes those involved with the game. Reference about PETA. So that link is meant to show you that PETA's philosophy is to stand against anyone opposed to animal rights. Cool. Then it goes on to say, this post violates the guidelines of Musume Parody Derby by denigrating the honor and rights of others, making it an antisocial post that does not follow the rules, like guidelines for derivative works of Musume Parody Derby. So here we get linked to the website of Musume, outlining their terms of service for fan works. In a nutshell, you can create fan art, you can create fan merch, you can do all those things, but they cannot be political, they cannot be sexual, and they sure as hell cannot be gory or disturbing. That's
I might want to remind Rule 34 about that, but I don't think that's going to make any changes.
exactly what PETA was doing. And finally, the community note would say, provocative posts intended to attract attention also have an aspect of spam and therefore violate X's terms of service. This also would be echoed by the community note in English, saying Cygames guidelines strictly prohibit violent or grotesque depictions of Musume characters to respect the real horses. Using the IP for political advocacy or commercial gain is a direct violation of their derivative work guidelines. So seeing this, Twitter was overjoyed, begging Cygames
I
to
love
sue
this.
the ever-living
PETA,
shit
PETA.
out of PETA, saying,
PETA, I got you a Valentine's Day gift. What is it? A lawsuit! Boom! And it's actually a bomb. I love it. I prefer that, honestly.
that there's approximately 5 different violations of Musume community guidelines and actual grounds for a hefty lawsuit. I think it was safe to say at this point that no one was siding with PETA. But we're not just talking about the English-speaking audience here. This travesty had reached Japan.
You think that this might actually get PETA to apologize something for once? If not, hopefully it'll be the death knell.
And the damage to their image there became catastrophic. A Japanese politician by the name of Kurishita Zenko, who used to be a part of the Japanese Metropolitan Assembly, would catch wind of this, and he would have something to say. It would be in Japanese, so here's the translation. He'd say, PETA, the world's largest animal rights organization, has suddenly made the following post using illustrations from Musume, sparking controversy. It already has a community note attached, stating it violates content guidelines, but we must re-recognize that just because it's a massive international organization doesn't necessarily mean it's fair. In
Amen!
reference to following the rules. He'd then reply to his own post, continuing, saying, PETA's incoherent accusations against Nintendo are still fresh in our memory. It almost feels like they're targeting Japanese content. Surely there are other things they should be doing to protect animals. He would continue further, referencing the article about the pet chihuahua we just saw earlier, saying, thank you for the information. I couldn't believe
It really is sad how few people really know what PETA really does, and I'm glad it's really starting to come into full light now.
my eyes. Not many people in Japan know what kind of organization PETA is, so we should take this opportunity to spread the word. See how much damage this did? Look, this philosophy of bad publicity is always good publicity? No. Japan was under the impression that PETA actually stood for animal rights. Now they're finding out what kind of organization they truly are. In other words, they fucked around and they found out. But the finding out part wasn't over just yet. That's because out of nowhere, the owner of the late Silent Suzuka would say, in a quote, straight up, go to hell, you shitty organization. This would get 3 million views, 75,000 likes. I mean, straight up full support for this guy. And he's totally right. Someone would reply to the owner's post saying, I remember Suzuka's fracture being a comminuted fracture where the broken bones didn't protrude out, not an open fracture like in that organization's picture where the bone is visible from the outside. But was I wrong? The owner would say, that's right. In other words, PETA was straight up lying. That's not how the fracture looked. Am I surprised? No. Someone else would reply with, is this the group that was saying about Mario Kart's cow putting a nose ring on it as a symbol of livestock?
Yeah.
This was in reference to what the politician had said earlier, that they had tried to go after Nintendo for this Mario Kart character. Like, how ridiculous is this? Their marketing campaign said, let cow race free, remove her nose ring. Like, surely there must be more important things to do. A few days later, the owner of the late Silent Suzuka would quote tweet the tweet we just saw where he called PETA a shitty organization and say, the resentful voices from all over the world against that shitty organization group are intense. Seriously, what the hell did they do to get hated this much? Lol.
Oh, if you only knew.
Well, the Japanese people are slowly finding out, aren't they? In fact, my favorite tweet in all this, okay, was this guy going back to that dog AI generated image of a fish being turned into sushi, quote tweeting it and saying, "It's honestly hilarious how the obese fast food nation that's all about burgers is nitpicking Japanese sushi."
You got a point there!
PETA wasn't just ruining their reputation worldwide, they were also ruining the American reputation worldwide. Not that it was very good to begin with, but still, it's not like they need more negative shit. Overall, this whole thing was an absolute mess, and it only served to make it known that PETA is...
You couldn't have done the JoJo's beating down one? I would have preferred that one, but this still works.
terrible. Now everyone is starting to get aware of this. This was one of the worst decisions the social media team of PETA could have taken. And now people are simply begging Cygames to sue the ever-living shit out of them. I usually try to stay neutral in my videos, but dude, even I'm hoping that happens, okay? I truly want to see that. That would be so cool. Anyway, thank you so much for watching until the end. If you're interested in the entire history of Musume Pretty Derby and how it came to be, as well as how it helped to revitalize the entire horse racing industry, then make sure to check out the video I made about it a few months ago called The Chaotic History of the Horse Game That Took Over the World. And if you want to get a healthy alternative to an energy drink for this Christmas, then make sure to hit the gamer subs and use the code Mujin for 10% off your total order. It helps me directly, and I'm sure you'll enjoy the product. Thank you so much again for watching the video platonically until the end.
Those feet. Okay, yeah, that's the thing.
And I'll see you in the next one, whenever that is. I love you so much. Mwah.
Ooh. Then all animals should be murdering him. Yeah, that's pretty true. Okay. Oh my god, this thing definitely a bit of a trip down memory lane for me. Oh my god, I remember so many articles about things about PETA coming out through over the years. It's just. Yeah, Mujin, I'm sorry if I step on any toes reacting to this so soonly and getting this out, but please react to this guy. If you like to, please watch his video. Watch it. Give him all the supports. Use his code for the gamer subs if you gamer subs if you do. I'm not a big call of action kind of person, but definitely support this man. This was definitely really a good video, in my opinion. I thank you very much for everybody who watched this. Please leave your feelings about how things are in the comments. Leave them in Mujin's comments. Give them on Twitter. Do whatever you like. I definitely recommend spreading whatever thoughts you have wherever you can about this. If you think you hate PETA, you don't hate him enough. But yeah, thank you very much for helping me watch through this. Y'all have a good rest of your day now. I will see y'all later. I'm out.